The courtroom is silent. Too silent. Kody Brown sits alone at the defendant's table, his eyes fixed on the polished wood, his hands trembling just enough to betray the calm he's trying to fake. Across the aisle, 4 women, once his wives, now his accusers, sit in cold, unblinking judgment. The cameras aren't rolling this time. This isn't reality TV. This is real life, and someone's about to tell a truth that will destroy everything he built. Because behind every smile on Sister Wives, there was a secret, and today, that secret is finally coming out in court. The gavel strikes once, sharp, echoing, final. "All rise," the bailiff says, and his voice cuts through the tension like a blade. The crowd stirs, whispers ripple, and the air feels thick enough to choke on. Judge Anderson enters, an older woman with eyes that have seen too many families torn apart. "This court is now in session," she says calmly. "The case of Brown versus Brown is hereby called to order." It was strange, listening to it out loud. Brown versus Brown. A family is pitted against itself. The mind's camera pans to Kody. His once golden hair is streaked with gray now, his suit too crisp, too perfect. A costumed effort for a man who pretends he is still in control. He looks toward Robyn, the only wife still standing by him. She meets his gaze, then turns away quickly. Christine sits 2 seats down, her hands folded tight. There's fire in her stare, the kind that burns quietly until it erupts. Meri looks hollow, as if her emotions have been wrung dry after years of trying to hold a family together. Janelle, steady and unreadable, just watches. Kody clears his throat, the words catching like gravel. "Not guilty, Your Honor," the gallery murmurs. The tension is alive, like static before a storm. The prosecutor, a woman named Taylor Reeves, steps forward. She's young, fierce, unflinching. "Your Honor," she says, "this case isn't about money or control. It's about manipulation. Years of it. Behind the cameras, behind the smiles, behind the carefully edited scenes, there was fear. And today, that fear will finally speak." "Order in the court," snaps the judge as the whispers grow. Reeves continues to pace as he says, "Each wife will testify, each has a story. Together, they'll show how a man built his empire not on love, but on control." Kody's attorney, a smooth man named Marcus Hale, stands up deliberately. "Objection, Your Honor. This sounds like a tabloid, not a trial." The judge raises an eyebrow. "Overruled for now. Proceed, Ms. Reeves." Reeves nods, looking toward Christine. "We'll begin with Christine Brown." Christine stands, a deep breath quivering in her chest. She's older now, wiser, but the pain still sits behind her eyes. Every step she takes up the stand seems like a step back into years' worth of memories she had suppressed. "Christine," Reeves says softly, "you were married to Mr. Brown for nearly 25 years. Can you tell the court when things began to change?" Christine hesitates. "When the show started, everything changed. He stopped being my husband and became a brand." Kody shifts uncomfortably. Christine's voice tightens. "We thought it was about family, about showing the world love could be different, but it became about control. If you disagreed, you were edited out. If you spoke up, you were shamed. He called it leadership. I called it fear." Gasps fill the room. Kody's attorney again objects. "Speculation." The judge frowns. "Overruled. Let her finish." Christine's hands shake, but she keeps going. "He told us we'd never survive without him, that no one would believe us. And I did believe him for a long time until I saw what he was doing with the money. The show paid him directly, not the family. He said it was for management, but we never saw it." Kody slams his palm on the table. "That's a lie." The gavel comes down again. "Mr. Brown, you'll control yourself or I'll have you removed." Christine takes a shaking breath. "He told me I was replaceable. That's when I left." Her voice cracks. "But, leaving didn't mean I was free. He made sure of that." Reeves leans forward. "What do you mean?" Christine looks over at Robyn, whose eyes shine with tears. "He used her. He said she was loyal. He funneled money through her accounts. And when we asked questions, we were cut off." A hush. The air tightens again. Reeves steps closer. "Do you have proof of this?" Christine nods. "Yes. Emails, bank statements, transfers." She reaches into her folder. "And one message where he admits everything." The courtroom stirs like a storm about to break. Kody's attorney shoots up. "We haven't seen this evidence, Your Honor." Judge Anderson nods. "Then you'll see it now." Christine's hands shake as she gives the documents to the clerk. The projector whirs on, and the emails flash in the sight of everyone present. Words that have lived in private now glow in public light. "Keep quiet about the funds. It's for the show's image. We will settle later. KB. A collective gasp fills the room. The color has bleached from Kody's face. Robyn's lips part slightly, whispering something only she can hear. Judge Anderson clears her throat. We'll take a short recess. The gavel cracks again, and nobody moves right away. The silence is heavy, like everybody is afraid to breathe. Christine exhales, trembling as she steps down. She doesn't look at Kody, doesn't need to. He stares straight ahead, his jaw tight, his world tilting. Robyn finally says, her voice small, "Kody, what did you do?" He doesn't answer, just clenches his fists, his silence louder than any confession. Outside the courtroom, reporters swarm like vultures. Cameras flash. Headlines begin forming before the ink can dry. Christine continues to walk, her hands shaking, but in her eyes there is faint, weary relief. For the first time in years, she is not hiding anymore. And back inside, as the judge's chambers close, Kody turns to his lawyer. "We can't let them testify, any of them, especially Meri." Marcus Hale nods slowly. "Then we better find something on them before they find more on you." The mind's camera fades to black on the image. Kody all alone at the defense table staring into space. Outside, in the hallway, Christine whispers to Janelle, "It's your turn next." Screen fade to black, and as the courtroom doors swing shut, one question lingers for all who watch. Who will tell the next truth? And what will it cost them? Comment below. If you were in Christine's place, would you have spoken out or remained silent? The courtroom hums with whispers as the next day begins, the tension hanging like fog after a storm. Janelle Brown walks to the witness stand, her composure a thin veil over years of buried exhaustion. She adjusts her glasses, looks once toward Kody, then fixes her gaze on the judge. The silence is piercing. "Mrs. Brown," the prosecutor begins, "you are known as the quiet one, the peacemaker. Why are you here today?" Janelle exhales slowly, her voice steady but soft. "Because peace can't exist in lies." The room stills. She explains how for years she tried to keep the family together, balancing books, mediating fights, and managing finances. "He made me feel responsible for everything that went wrong," she says, her voice trembling slightly. "When the show grew, so did the money, but somehow we always seemed broke." She tells the court about secret accounts, missing deposits, and the strange consulting fees that led back to Kody. "He'd say it was business," Janelle continues, "but when I asked questions, he told me to stay in my lane." She lifts her eyes, meeting his. "I was loyal, but loyalty became silence, and silence became guilt." The audience leans in, because when silence finally breaks, it's never gentle. The prosecutor asks if she has evidence, and Janelle nods, revealing bank statements she'd quietly copied years before. "I didn't plan to use them," she admits, "but when Christine left, I knew the truth would come for us all." The judge examines the papers, her brows knitting tighter with each line. Kody fidgets, his lawyer whispering frantically, but Janelle keeps talking, her tone turning sharper. She recalls a night when Kody cornered her in the kitchen after she asked about the missing funds. "He looked at me like I was the enemy. Said I'd betray the family. He told me if I ever spoke out, I'd regret it." A murmur ripples through the gallery. "Did he threaten you?" Reeves asks. Janelle hesitates, her lip trembling. "Not directly, but he didn't have to. The fear was already there." Kody shakes his head with extreme force. "That never happened." The judge gives him a stern look. "Mr. Brown, you will remain silent." Even silence can scream louder than words when the truth starts bleeding through. Reeves continues carefully, guiding Janelle through the years of emotional neglect and manipulation. "He'd pit us against each other," Janelle says softly. "He'd say, 'Christine's complaining again,' or 'Meri doesn't love me anymore,' and we'd fight each other instead of him. That was his control." She looks down, her voice cracking. "It wasn't love, it was survival." For a moment, the courtroom is utterly still, even the reporters frozen, absorbing the rawness of her confession. "Why stay so long?" Reeves asks, Janelle's eyes well up. "Because when you're told for years that your worth comes from obedience, you forget what freedom feels like." "Ha! The listeners feel it too." The quiet, suffocating pain of love turned into prison. She explains how after Christine left, things spiraled. "He blamed me," she says. "Said I was supposed to keep her in line. He told the kids I was disloyal. He made them choose." Her voice rises now, the calm facade cracking. "He made my children choose." The outburst echoes through the courtroom. A few spectators gasp. Kody bows his head, whispering to his lawyer, but there's no undoing what's been said. Reeves nods gravely. So what made you finally decide to testify? Janelle wipes her eyes. Because my son came to me and said, Mom, he called you a liar on TV. That's when I knew the truth couldn't wait for justice to come. It had to be spoken into existence. Her words hang heavy. The judge looks to Kody. Do you wish to cross-examine? His lawyer nods reluctantly and approaches. Mrs. Brown, he says smoothly, you claim emotional abuse, yet you stayed. Isn't it true you benefited from the fame, the money, the opportunities? Janelle's eyes narrow. Fame doesn't heal bruises on your soul. The crowd murmurs again. You have no proof he threatened you, the lawyer presses. Janelle leans forward slightly. No. But sometimes the threat isn't in words. It's in how someone looks at you and you just know. You're not safe to speak. The lawyer pauses, catching that he's losing control of the narrative truth once spoken doesn't need permission to echo. Again, Janelle's voice steadies. For years, I told myself he was a good man who had lost his way, but the truth is, I lost myself trying to find him. Kody flinches at her words, his jaw tightening. He used our faith, our family, our children as shields for his ego. That's not leadership. It's tyranny. Reeves rises again, sensing the power of the moment. Thank you, Janelle, she says softly. No further questions. Janelle nods, stands, and walks back toward Christine, who squeezes her hand gently. The room watches her, silent, reverent, as if a spell has been broken. Kody's lawyer requests a recess, but the judge denies it. We proceed, she says firmly. This court has heard enough excuses. Kody finally speaks, his voice breaking through the stillness. You're all liars. Every single one of you. I gave you everything. But his voice isn't powerful now. It's desperate, cracked, hollow. The judge warns him again, but Kody slams his hand down anyway. They wanted fame. They love the cameras. Don't act innocent now. The courtroom erupts in noise until the gavel pounds again and again. When silence finally returns, Kody looks up, and for the first time, the audience sees not the confident patriarch from television, but a man unraveling under the weight of his own lies. Even power crumbles when truth refuses to stay buried. The judge calls for a lunch recess and people start to disperse, but before leaving, Janelle turns back to look at Kody one last time. You could have been honest, she whispers across the distance, her voice barely audible yet sharp enough to cut through the noise. You could have saved us. She walks away without waiting for a response, her shoulders straight, her heart lighter than it's been in years. Kody sits there, alone again, the room emptying around him, his lawyer gathering papers in silence. Through the glass doors, the world outside blazes with flashing cameras and murmuring reporters waiting for their next headline, but for Kody, everything feels cold, quiet, and small. As the doors swing closed, his reflection in the courtroom window stares back at him, a stranger. The storm had only begun, and the next voice to rise would tear through whatever piece was left. Session 3 begins, and the courtroom feels colder, as if even the walls know what's coming. Meri Brown sits at the witness stand now, pale but unshaken, her hands clasped together in her lap. The silence is of a different breed now, not tense like before, but heavy, suffocating, as though everyone knows that what she will say will cut deeper than money or power. Mrs. Brown, you've chosen to testify despite years of silence. Why now? Meri takes a long breath, her voice trembling at first. Because silence was my prison, and I'm done serving time for someone else's sins. The air thickens. Kody shifts in his seat but says nothing. Meri flicks her glance briefly toward him before returning to the prosecutor. For years, I believed love meant endurance, that if I forgave enough, he'd come back to me, but forgiveness without truth is just submission. The words fall like a hammer on stone. She recounts the early days of how she was Kody's first wife, of how the idea of sister wives was supposed to be about faith and family. He promised we'd be equals, she says softly, but equality ended the day Robyn arrived. The room goes still, even Robyn looks down. He started spending nights only with her. He'd say it was temporary, that I just needed to have patience, but months turned to years. I stopped being a wife. I became a ghost in my own home. Every listener can feel it. The pain of being invisible in a room you helped build. Meri continues, her voice wavering but unbroken. I begged for communication. He said I was emotional. I begged for counseling. He said I was overreacting. I asked him if he loved me, and he said, love is obedience. The courtroom gasps. Reeves steps closer. Did you feel threatened? Meri looks up, her eyes glistening. Not in the way people think. He didn't need to raise his voice. He punished me with distance. He'd smile for the cameras, but when they left, he'd act like I didn't exist. That kind of silence is its own violence. A murmur runs through the room. Some wipe tears, others exchange glances of disbelief. Kody rubs his temples, whispering to his lawyer, but he's clearly unraveling. Reeves continues carefully. You once defended him publicly. What changed? Meri nods faintly. Because I thought loyalty would heal everything. I kept saying, we'll fix it. He's under pressure. But when Christine left, I realized it wasn't pressure. It was pattern he needed control, and when he lost it, he replaced affection with humiliation. Her voice breaks on the word humiliation. She takes a moment before continuing. He told me I made him look bad, that if I didn't smile more, the audience would turn against us. He said I was ungrateful. I believed him for too long. Even strength can look like silence when survival is your only language. Reeves nods slowly. Meri, can you tell the court about the night that changed everything? Meri's eyes drift downward. It was winter. Cameras had just stopped filming for the season. We'd been arguing about money, again. He said I was spending too much on counseling, that it made him look weak. I told him I didn't care how he looked, I just wanted him to care. He laughed. Her voice grows small. That laugh broke something in me. The courtroom is utterly still now. Even the judge leans forward slightly. He said, you're lucky I don't just let you go. And I said, maybe you already have. He turned, left the room, and I didn't see him for 3 months. She swallows hard. That's when I started therapy on my own. That's when I found the courage to stop defending the pain that was killing me. Kody's face flushes red, anger bubbling just beneath the surface. His lawyer places a hand on his arm, but he shrugs it off. She's twisting everything, he blurts, his voice cracking. The judge slams the gavel. Mr. Brown, control yourself. Meri doesn't flinch. She simply looks at him and says softly, you can't control what's already gone. The crowd murmurs again, a wave of energy rolling through the room. Reeves steps in to anchor the moment. Meri, you mentioned something about documents. What kind? Meri nods, reaching into her folder. I kept notes. Every financial transfer, every message, every broken promise. I didn't want to believe it, but I knew someday the truth would need proof. She hands the papers to the clerk. On the screen behind her, the court displays a message exchange between her and Kody. One line stands out, his words in black and white. You owe me loyalty. For everything I gave you. Gasps fill the courtroom again. I don't owe anyone my silence, Meri says firmly. Not anymore. The past always leaves receipts, and sooner or later they all demand to be read aloud. The judge studies the evidence, face grim. Kody looks like a man unraveling thread by thread. Robyn wipes away tears, whispering prayers under her breath. Reeves turns to the judge. Your Honor, these statements show a long pattern of coercion, both emotional and financial. The judge nods solemnly. We'll mark them as Exhibit D. Meri steps down, but as she walks past Kody, she stops. For a moment, neither moves nor speaks. Then she whispers just loud enough for the microphones to catch. You told me I'd regret leaving you were wrong. I regret staying. And with that, she walks away, her gait slow, unwavering, as if with every step, she recovers one piece of herself. The room sits in stunned silence. Freedom doesn't always roar. Sometimes it just walks quietly out the door and never looks back. The judge speaks of a short recess, but nobody rises. The emotional weight of the moment asks them to sit and process. Kody sits motionless, staring at nothing, his lawyer mumbling legalese that fades to white noise. She leans over and whispers something to her assistant, something about the next testimony being the hardest, yet cameras flash outside as the word spreads that Meri has broken her silence. Inside, the quiet is almost unbearable. Reeves turns to the judge. Your Honor, the next witness will be Robyn Brown. The entire courtroom exhales at once. Even Kody lifts his head. Robyn sits frozen, her eyes wide, her hand trembling on the table. The woman once seen as the favorite now looks like a ghost of her own devotion. She glances toward Kody, their eyes meeting for a fraction of a second before she looks away. The judge nods. We'll reconvene in 30 minutes. Kody whispers something under his breath, something only Robyn can hear. Her expression changes, fear flashing for just a heartbeat. When the recess begins, she doesn't move right away. Christine and Janelle exchange a knowing look from across the room. They can sense it. Whatever Robyn has to say might be the crack that finally brings everything crashing down. And as the lights dim and the murmurs rise, the camera of imagination lingers on her face. Guilt, love, fear, all tangled into one unbearable silence. Every truth has a cost, and Robyn Brown is about to decide if she's willing to pay it. Now, session 4, into 1,500 words, and give me in the all script in plain text and in one paragraph. When the courtroom fills again after recess, the air feels electric, thick with the weight of anticipation. Robyn Brown stands near the witness stand, clutching her statement like a lifeline. Her face is pale, her lips trembling, but there's something else behind her eyes. A storm she's been holding back for years. Kody watches her closely, his stare sharp enough to cut glass. She doesn't look at him. When she takes the oath and sits down, the entire room leans forward, waiting. The prosecutor, Reeves, steps closer, her tone gentle but firm. Mrs. Brown, you've been described as Mr. Brown's closest ally. Why have you chosen to testify today? Robyn exhales shakily. Because truth doesn't belong to anyone. It's been used as a weapon in this family for too long, and I'm tired of being the one who keeps it buried. Gasps ripple through the crowd. Kody stiffens but stays silent. Robyn continues, her voice trembling. When I joined the family, I thought I was saving it. I thought I was bringing peace, but instead, I became his shield. Reeves nods slowly. You mean you protected him? Robyn hesitates, tears threatening. He told me I was the only one who truly loved him, that the others were jealous, bitter, disloyal. I believed him. He made me believe that helping him hide things, financial moves, private deals, was protecting the family, but it wasn't protection. It was complicity. The audience murmurs louder now. Kody's lawyer rises. Objection, Your Honor. Speculation and defamation. The judge waves him down. Overruled, let her continue. Robyn swallows hard, her words trembling but gaining force. He'd tell me, Robyn, you're my safe place. You're the only one who understands. And I wanted to believe that so badly that I ignored everything else. The missing money, the secret meetings with producers, the messages about cutting the other wives' shares. He made me part of it, and I hate myself for it. Even the strongest illusions collapse when guilt starts to speak louder than love. The crowd is frozen. Even the reporters stop typing. Reeves steps closer. Mrs. Brown, are you saying you were aware of Mr. Brown's financial misconduct? Robyn's voice cracks. Yes, I saw transfers, money that was meant for the family, but he rerouted it. He said it was to protect the brand. I asked him once if it was wrong, and he said, You don't question me, Robyn. You're my wife, not my accountant. Kody clenches his jaw, his lawyer whispering furiously, but Robyn keeps going. I told myself he was right, that it was all for us. But then I watched Christine cry in her car after filming. I watched Janelle walk out of family meetings shaking, and I watched Meri fade into silence. And I did nothing. I told myself I was keeping peace, but I was just keeping quiet. Her voice breaks completely now, tears rolling down her cheeks. I'm sorry, she whispers, turning toward the other wives. I'm sorry for believing him. Christine's eyes glisten. Janelle nods softly, forgiving without words. Meri just stares, unreadable, her expression somewhere between pain and pity. Reeves waits, then asks carefully, Mrs. Brown, did Mr. Brown ever pressure you into these actions? Robyn nods slowly. Yes. He'd tell me that if I didn't cooperate, I'd lose everything. Him, the kids, our home. He made love conditional. Every I love you had a rule attached. The judge leans forward, voice low. Are you saying you felt coerced? Robyn wipes her tears, nodding again. Yes, Your Honor, every single day. The courtroom breathes as one, because control disguised as love is still control. Reeves glances toward Kody. Mrs. Brown, did Mr. Brown ever express regret for these actions? Robyn shakes her head. No. He said the world didn't understand him, that the wives were ungrateful, that if anyone left, they'd regret it. He made me promise to defend him no matter what. Reeves's tone hardens. And you did? Robyn nods again, her voice cracking. Yes, I defended him to everyone, even when I didn't believe my own words anymore. I lied to my friends, my family, to myself. Kody finally erupts, slamming his hand on the table. That's enough, Robyn. His voice fills the courtroom, booming with rage. The judge pounds her gavel. Mr. Brown, sit down or I will hold you in contempt. Kody glares at Robyn. You're twisting everything. You wanted this life more than anyone. Robyn flinches but doesn't look away. No, Kody, I wanted love, but what you gave me was fear wrapped in promises. The room goes silent again, the power dynamic shattered in real time. Even love stories end when one heart decides to tell the truth. Reeves lets the silence stretch, then asks softly, do you have evidence supporting your claims? Robyn nods weakly. I have recordings. He used to dictate messages to me when transferring funds. I kept them. The courtroom erupts into chaos, reporters shouting, cameras flashing, until the judge bangs her gavel repeatedly. Order! Order! Reeves looks stunned. You recorded him? Robyn's voice trembles. Yes, not to expose him at first. I just wanted proof for myself because I didn't trust my own memory anymore. The judge instructs the bailiff to collect the phone and play one of the recordings for the court. The room falls silent as Kody's voice echoes through the speakers. Move it from the joint account to Robyn's name. It's safer that way. The others don't need to know everything. Keep it quiet. We'll fix it later. His voice is collected, certain, too certain. The clip ends and the courtroom erupts once more. Kody's lawyer yells for dismissal, manipulation, but the damage is done. Kody's face goes crimson, veins visible in his neck. Robyn covers her face with her hands, sobbing. Reeves waits for silence, then says softly, Your Honor, this establishes a clear pattern of deception. The judge nods grimly. We'll review the evidence in full. The sound of Robyn's sobs fills the pauses between gavel strikes. Christine and Janelle exchange glances, sadness mixed with a grim satisfaction that truth is finally surfacing. Meri sits still, her eyes closed, whispering something under her breath that no one hears. Once lies start collapsing, they don't stop. They take everything with them. Kody leans toward his lawyer, voice low but furious. We need to stop this. She can't testify anymore. But Robyn hears him. She looks up, her eyes red but fierce. Stop me? You've been stopping us our whole lives. Her tone is low but powerful, a quiet rebellion echoing across the room. Reeves nods to the judge. No further questions. Robyn steps down, visibly trembling, and as she passes Kody, she whispers something that makes him freeze. You told me loyalty meant love, but you only loved loyalty. Then she walks toward the exit where the other wives wait. Christine stands first, pulling Robyn into an unexpected hug. Janelle joins, tears streaming down her cheeks. Even Meri, after a moment of hesitation, reaches out. It's not forgiveness, not yet, but it's something close to understanding. Cameras flash as the image burns into every spectator's mind. 4 women who once shared one man, now united against him. The judge adjourns for the day, but the energy in the room refuses to fade. Kody sits alone again, shoulders hunched, his reflection caught in the glass of the courtroom's camera lens, the same lens that once made him famous, now framing his downfall. Outside, the reporters shout questions. Did Robyn just confess? Will Kody face charges? But the only sound inside the courtroom is the with Robyn, shaky but resolute. The sound of her voice seems to echo, I'm done hiding. And as the lights dim and the crowd disperses, one truth becomes clear. What began as a family built on faith has become a trial built on betrayal, and tomorrow, the verdict of hearts will matter more than any sentence the court can give. The next morning, the courthouse is a storm of flashing cameras and the murmurs of reporters, their voices merging into one anxious hum. As Kody Brown steps out of the black SUV flanked by his lawyer but looking more like a man walking toward his own reckoning. Inside, the tension is heavier than ever. The previous day's testimonies have left the courtroom raw, bleeding with emotion and betrayal. Today, the defense will try to rebuild what's been destroyed, but everyone knows the cracks are too deep. The judge enters, the gavel strikes, and silence falls like dust. Mr. Hale, she says to Kody's lawyer, you may proceed with your defense. Hale rises smoothly, his tone calm, almost rehearsed. Your Honor, my client has been vilified in the court of public opinion. What you've heard are personal grievances, emotions, not evidence. He gestures to Kody. Mr. Brown's only crime was trying to hold a family together under extraordinary circumstances. The courtroom murmurs skeptical. Kody stands adjusting his tie, his face pale but composed. He looks around, scanning the faces of his former wives. Christine steady and fierce, Janelle guarded but resolute, Meri hollow yet strong, and Robyn broken but determined. His voice trembles slightly as he begins, I loved them, every one of them. Maybe not perfectly, but I gave my life to them. He pauses as if expecting empathy, but the room stays cold. They wanted independence, he continues, but when they got it, they blame me for the cost. He looks toward the judge. I wasn't a monster, and I was a husband trying to make a family work. His words hang there, but even he doesn't seem to believe them. The prosecutor stands stepping closer, her eyes sharp. Mr. Brown, if that's true, why did you reroute family funds into private accounts? Kody's composure falters for a heartbeat. I managed the money, he replies quickly. Someone had to. The network, the contracts, they were under my name. It was for efficiency. Reeves nods slowly, her voice cool. And when your wives asked about those accounts? They didn't understand the business. Kody insists. They were emotional. I was protecting them. Reeves raises an eyebrow. Protecting them? Or controlling them? Kody's jaw tightens. You're twisting my words. Am I? Reeves presses, walking a slow circle around him. You told Meri that love was obedience. You told Janelle that questioning you was betrayal. You told Christine she was replaceable, and you told Robyn to hide the money. Which part of that is love? The courtroom holds its breath. Kody looks cornered, his eyes darting toward his lawyer, but there's no rescue. I did what I had to, he finally says. A man can't lead a family if no one follows. Every audience member feels the weight of it, the moment when justification sounds too much like confession. Reeves folds her arms. So this wasn't about leadership, it was about power. Kody glares. It was about survival. Yours, Reeves says flatly. He opens his mouth to argue, but no sound comes out. The silence that follows is unbearable, stretching long enough for everyone to feel the truth sinking in. Reeves turns to the judge. Your Honor, we'd like to play another recording provided by Mrs. Brown. The screen flickers to life again, Kody's voice echoing. If they want out, let them go, but they'll regret it. The public loves a villain, and I know how to make one. Gasps fill the room. Kody's face drains of color. That's taken out of context, he stammers, but no one believes him. Reeves steps closer. You made your family your product, Mr. Brown. You profited off their pain, then punished them for feeling it. Kody slams a hand on the table. They agreed to it. They wanted fame as much as I did. The judge's gavel cracks sharply. Enough, she snaps. You will not yell in my courtroom. Kody sinks back into his seat, breathing hard, sweat glistening at his temples. Even power loses its voice when truth stops playing by its rules. Reeves turns to the wives' table. Mrs. Brown, do you wish to cross-examine? Christine rises, unexpected. The room stills as she walks forward, her eyes locked on Kody. You want to talk about love? She asks, her voice trembling with emotion. Love isn't control. It isn't fear. It isn't silence. You told me once that obedience was the price of peace. But peace built on obedience isn't peace at all. It's prison. Kody stares at her, his lips parting slightly, but she doesn't stop. You told all of us we were nothing without you. But look around, Kody. We're still here. We survived you. The words cut through the room like glass shattering. A few people in the audience wipe their eyes. Even the judge seems moved. Kody's lawyer tries to interrupt, but the judge gestures for her to continue. You taught us how to smile through pain, Christine continues softly, but you forgot. Pain doesn't last forever when it's faced. And now we're facing it. The strength of broken hearts always terrifies the one who broke them. Kody's face crumples. For the first time, his voice cracks. I loved you, Christine. She shakes her head. You loved control. You loved the idea of being the man everyone depended on. But when we stopped depending on you, you stopped loving us. Silence swallows the room whole. Kody looks down at the table, his hand shaking slightly. Reeves clears her throat. No further questions. Christine returns to her seat, exhaling as if a decade of weight has just lifted. The judge announces a short recess, but no one moves. The emotional gravity pins everyone to their seats. Finally, the judge leans forward. Mr. Brown, you will have one final opportunity to speak before we proceed to closing arguments tomorrow. Kody nods stiffly. I understand. The gavel hits once, and the room exhales as people slowly rise. Reporters whisper furiously, typing headlines that will explode across the internet within minutes. But amid all the noise, Kody stays seated, staring straight ahead. When the room clears, Robyn approaches him hesitantly. Kody, she whispers, you could have told the truth. He looks up at her, eyes bloodshot, voice hoarse. You don't understand what it's like to be hated by everyone. Robyn shakes her head sadly. No, Kody, you don't understand what it's like to be loved by no one. She turns and leaves him sitting there, alone again, his world unraveling strand by strand. Even in defeat, pride whispers louder than apology. Outside, the wives gather in a small circle away from the chaos of reporters. Christine's voice is soft. Tomorrow's the last day. Meri nods. The truth's out. Whatever happens next, we've already won something he can't take back. Janelle looks up at the courthouse windows where Kody still sits alone. Freedom? She asks quietly. Christine nods. No, ourselves. They stand there for a long moment before parting ways, each walking into the cold morning light, broken, healing, but free. Inside, Kody remains at the table, surrounded by empty chairs, his lawyer packing papers in silence. He picks up one of the old family photos from the folder, a picture of all of them smiling, back when the illusion still felt real. He stares at it until his eyes blur, then sets it face down. The gavel echoes faintly from the hallway, calling for the next session. But Kody doesn't move. His hands shake, his breath shallow, his mind racing with memories and regrets. He looks up at the ceiling as if expecting divine answers, but the silence offers none. And in that silence, for the first time, Kody Brown realizes he's not losing his family. They were already gone. He's just now facing the moment the world finally saw it too. The final day of testimony begins under gray skies that seem to mirror the mood of everyone stepping into the courthouse. The air carries that strange, heavy stillness that comes before something breaks. Whether it's a storm or a man Kody Brown walks in, looking smaller somehow, his once commanding posture slumped. The courtroom fills quickly. Reporters, former fans, even curious onlookers who've followed the story since the beginning cameras flash as he passes. But there's no confidence in his stride anymore, just quiet exhaustion. Inside, Christine, Janelle, Meri, and Robyn sit together on one side for the first time since the trial began. Their silence is powerful, united yet heavy with everything they have lost. The judge enters, her face firm but not unkind. Mr. Brown, she begins, you may make your final statement before we proceed to closing arguments. Kody rises, clears his throat, and looks around the courtroom like a man searching for something. Sympathy, perhaps redemption, but finds only distance. Your Honor, he starts slowly. I didn't expect to end up here. I didn't expect my family to fall apart. I thought I could lead them, protect them, and keep us together. I see now that maybe I held on too tight. His voice cracks once, then steadies. But I am not a criminal. I'm a husband who failed, a father who got lost. I may have made mistakes, but I never meant to hurt anyone. The courtroom is silent. He turns toward his former wives. Christine, Janelle, Meri, Robyn, I know I can't undo what I've done, but I did love you. Maybe my love was twisted by pride, maybe by fear, but it was real. Robyn's eyes glint with tears, but she says nothing. Christine stares down, her jaw tight. The judge nods slightly. Thank you, Mr. Brown. You may be seated. Then she turns to the prosecutor. Reeves stands and walks forward, holding a file thick with papers. Your Honor, we've heard a lot about love and leadership, but this isn't about feelings. It's about accountability. Mr. Brown didn't just make mistakes. He made choices. Choices that caused financial harm, emotional manipulation, and betrayal. Choices that left his family broken and afraid. She holds up a document. This is the financial report showing how he rerouted over $300,000 in earnings from joint accounts into private holdings under his sole name, money his wives never saw again. The courtroom stirs Kody's lawyer objects, but the judge overrides. Continue, she says firmly. Reeves steps closer to the jury. You heard him say he was protecting his family. But protecting them from what? Transparency? Independence? Every time one of his wives tried to step away, he used fear. Fear of poverty, of shame, of being alone. That isn't protection. That's control. Sometimes the most dangerous prisons are built with words like love and loyalty. Kody leans forward, fists clenched. That's not true. I did everything for them. Reeves turns toward him, unflinching. Then why did you threaten to cut off their share of the show's income when they asked for their own contracts? Kody opens his mouth, then stops. The silence answers for him. Reeves looks back at the judge. Your Honor, this isn't just about financial misconduct, it's about emotional coercion. Every woman sitting in that row spent years believing they had to earn their worth through obedience. They lived in fear of disappointing one man who called it love. The judge nods solemnly. The tension in the room is palpable. Christine looks up suddenly. Your Honor, may I say something? The judge hesitates, then nods. Christine stands, her voice quiet but unwavering. I spent years thinking I had to shrink myself to make our marriage work. I said yes when I wanted to say no. I smiled when I wanted to cry. I thought if I just loved harder, he'd love me back the same way. But love isn't supposed to hurt like that. She glances at Kody. And I'm not saying this to destroy him. I'm saying this because I finally understand what it means to heal. Healing begins the moment you stop apologizing for the scars you didn't cause. The judge watches her closely, her expression softening. Thank you, Mrs. Brown. Christine nods and sits. The room is so quiet you can hear the hum of the lights overhead. The judge looks between Kody and his wives, then speaks. This case is about more than finances or fame. It's about the human cost of control and the courage it takes to reclaim your voice. She takes a deep breath. We will recess briefly before I deliver the verdict. The gavel strikes and everyone exhales as if released from an invisible grip. Reporters scramble for the door, whispering predictions while the Browns remain seated, each lost in thought. Kody stares down at his hands, the weight of every decision pressing down. Robyn turns to him quietly. Kody, you still could have told the truth. She whispers again, her voice trembling. He doesn't answer. His eyes are distant, haunted by something only he can see. The realization, maybe, that the courtroom didn't destroy him, he did that himself. Janelle leans toward Christine. Do you think he gets it now? Christine shakes her head softly. I don't think he ever will. They both watch him for a moment, a man who once demanded their obedience now sitting wordless and powerless before the justice he thought he could control. Outside, thunder rumbles faintly and rain begins to fall against the tall courthouse windows, blurring the view of the city. It feels poetic somehow, the sky washing everything clean as the truth finally settles. Reporters wait under umbrellas, their lenses trained on the doors, ready to capture the moment that will end this saga. Inside, Kody finally lifts his eyes toward the judge's bench, empty now during recess. He whispers under his breath, I just wanted to be remembered. But the echo that returns is hollow. Some legacies aren't written in victory. They're carved in the silence after the applause fades. The wives stand slowly, gathering their things, moving as a unit toward the hallway. Christine glances back one last time, watching Kody sitting there, motionless. She doesn't smile, doesn't gloat. She just breathes as though she can finally fill her lungs again. As they walk out together, the flash of lightning illuminates the courtroom one last time, casting Kody in stark relief, alone, surrounded by the ghosts of what once was. The bailiff re-enters and nods to him. 5 minutes, Mr. Brown. He nods, his voice a whisper. Yeah, 5 minutes. He looks down again at the family photo, edges worn and faces fading, and for a moment his eyes close as if he's trying to freeze time, trying to go back to when the story was about love, not loss. But time, like truth, moves only forward. He exhales slowly, the sound heavy in the empty air. Outside, the thunder grows louder. The final verdict waits just beyond the next gavel strike, but deep down, everyone knows the decision was made long before this day ever began. And sometimes the harshest sentence isn't the one the judge gives. It's the life you're left to live when everyone else has finally. The storm outside intensifies as the courtroom reconvenes for what everyone knows will be the final act of this emotional trial. Rain lashes against the tall windows, and thunder murmurs like distant applause as the judge takes her seat once more, eyes sharp and composed. The gallery fills with reporters, their pens poised, ready to immortalize whatever comes next. Christine, Janelle, Meri, and Robyn sit close together, their hands occasionally brushing, their unity now unspoken but undeniable. Kody enters moments later, soaked from the brief walk across the courthouse steps, his expression unreadable. Gone is the defiance that once defined him. In its place, something quieter, resignation, maybe even regret. The judge glances at both sides. "We're here to hear closing arguments before the verdict," she says. "Prosecution, you may begin." Reeves rises, her voice measured but piercing. "Your Honor, ladies and gentlemen, this case has never been about fame or family drama. It's about the slow corrosion of trust. It's about how control can disguise itself as love and how silence can become its own form of prison. Kody Brown built a world where obedience was virtue and independence was betrayal. His wives lived in fear of disapproval, of abandonment, of financial ruin." She pauses, letting the silence breathe. "We've heard his words, seen the records, felt the pain of those who once trusted him, and now all that remains is accountability. The truth doesn't vanish when ignored. It waits, patient and relentless, for its moment to be heard." Reeves steps back, her gaze steady on the judge. Then Hale stands, straightening his suit. "Your Honor, my client is not perfect, but this case has painted him as a villain in a story where everyone made mistakes. Yes, he led with pride. Yes, he made decisions others disagree with, but he's not a criminal. He's a man who lost control of a family stretched by fame and expectations. You've heard about the pain he caused, but you've also seen his remorse. I ask this court to remember that punishment doesn't heal. It only hardens. Let's not destroy what little is left of this family." He returns to his seat, voice softening on the final line. Kody looks at him briefly, then lowers his gaze. The judge takes a long moment before speaking. "Mr. Brown, before I render my decision, do you wish to address the court one last time?" Kody hesitates, then stands. His voice is quieter than ever. "I know you all think I'm a monster. Maybe I was, in my own way. I thought love meant control because I was scared. Scared of losing what I built, scared of being alone, and I know I hurt them for it." His eyes flick toward Christine and the others. "You were right, I didn't listen. I used love like a weapon and called it leadership, but I swear I didn't mean to destroy us." His voice breaks, trembling as the storm rages outside. "I just didn't know who I was without them." The room is silent, except for the distant rumble of thunder. Even Reeves looks momentarily softened. Christine's eyes glisten, though she doesn't speak. Meri stares at the floor, jaw clenched. Janelle folds her arms, her face unreadable. Robyn wipes her cheeks quietly, whispering something under her breath. Maybe a prayer, maybe goodbye. The judge exhales slowly, her tone calm but firm. "Mr. Brown, this court cannot fix what has been broken in your family, but it can recognize the harm done." She adjusts her glasses. "Based on the financial evidence and testimony, the court finds you guilty of financial misconduct and emotional coercion under the statutes presented. You will be required to pay restitution and participate in mandated counseling. This is not a sentence of punishment, but of reflection." The gavel strikes. And just like that, years of control collapse into a single moment of truth. Kody doesn't move. The words hang heavy in the air, echoing in his mind. Reporters scribble furiously, the sound of clicking cameras filling the silence. The wives just sit motionless, processing the end of a chapter that defined their lives for so long. Finally, Christine rises slowly. She turns to Kody, her voice soft but steady. "You always said we'd regret leaving you, but today I think you finally understand we didn't leave you. We left the version of ourselves that believed we couldn't live without you." Kody swallows hard, his voice almost a whisper. "Was I really that blind?" Christine looks at him for a long moment. "You didn't want to see." She walks past him toward the exit, her footsteps echoing across the marble floor. Janelle follows quietly, her hand briefly brushing Christine's arm. Meri lingers for a second, her eyes full of something complicated. Pain, maybe forgiveness. "You could have been the man we believed in," she says softly. "You still could be if you ever stopped trying to be right." Then she leaves, too. Robyn stays behind, her tears quiet but constant. "Kody," she whispers, "you wanted to build a kingdom, but you forgot kingdoms fall when their walls are built too high." He doesn't respond, only stares at the judge's bench, empty now except for the echo of the verdict. Robyn sighs and walks away, her heels clicking softly on the tile until she disappears through the door. Sometimes the loneliest sound in the world is silence after everyone has stopped defending you. The courtroom empties, one person at a time, until it's just Kody and the bailiff. "Time to go, sir," says the bailiff softly. Kody nods, his movements lethargic and mechanical. As he gathers his papers, that old photo slips out of the folder, the very same one from before. He picks it up and traces the smiling faces with his thumb. For a moment, the noise of the rain and distant thunder seems to be an echo of long-departed laughter. He closes his eyes and remembers the warmth of family dinners, children's laughter, the sound of multiple voices calling good night from different rooms. Then the memory twists the arguments, the slammed doors, tears masked by smiles. Opening his eyes, he whispers into the empty room, "I just wanted to be the man who held it all together." His voice fades into the hum of the storm. The bailiff waits patiently, while Kody places the photo on the defense table and walks out slowly. The echoes of his footsteps resound down the hallway. Outside, the wives come together before the reporters. Flashes illuminate their faces as microphones are thrust toward them. Christine speaks first, composed but forceful. "This wasn't about revenge, it was about truth. It's time for all of us to start over, not as wives, not as victims, but as women who finally chose themselves." Janelle nods beside her. "We stayed silent for too long. Now we want others to know. Leaving isn't weakness. Sometimes it's the bravest thing you can do." The reporters swarm them with questions, but their words are steady, rehearsed in courage. Inside, Kody watches from a distance, unseen, his reflection ghostly in the courthouse glass. He can hear their voices, muffled by the storm, but he doesn't step forward. He turns away instead, walking down the steps alone as the rain soaks through his coat. Redemption doesn't always come with applause. Sometimes it comes with the sound of rain washing away what you can't fix. He reaches his car, pauses, and looks back one last time. The courthouse looms behind him like a monument to everything he lost. Somewhere inside, his photo of their family still lies on the table, forgotten. He closes his eyes, takes a deep breath, and drives away into the storm. As the camera pans up in the imagination of the viewer, the courthouse lights glow against the night, the sound of thunder fading. Christine's voice echoes softly in memory. "We survived you." And Kody's faint whisper answers in the dark, "But can I survive myself?" The screen fades to black as the storm quiets, leaving only the sound of soft rain and the lingering ache of everything that was said and everything that never needed to be. And in the end, it isn't justice or guilt that defines the story. It's the moment when the truth finally stands alone, unafraid in the silence left behind. Days later, the courthouse that once overflowed with tension now sits silent under a pale winter sky, its echo of chaos replaced by the quiet hum of moving on. The trial is over, the verdict delivered, but the ripples of what happened inside that courtroom continue to spread far beyond its walls. News outlets dissect every second of the case. Online debates rage on, and social media is ablaze with opinions. Some calling Kody Brown a manipulator, others calling him misunderstood. But for those who lived it, the noise outside no longer matters. Inside a small rental house on the outskirts of Flagstaff, Christine sits at a kitchen table surrounded by boxes. The morning light spills through thin curtains, and her hands wrap around a warm mug as she watches the steam curl upward. The peace feels strange, almost fragile. After years of chaos, she finally has stillness, but she's not sure what to do with it yet. Her phone buzzes, Janelle checking in. "You okay?" The message reads. Christine smiles faintly and types back, "Getting there." Then she looks at an old family photo sitting beside her coffee, one of all the wives and children together before everything fractured. There's pain in her eyes, but also something new, clarity. Across town, Janelle packs her car, her laughter echoing faintly as she chats with her son. She's moving closer to her grandkids, excited and scared all at once. Freedom, she realizes, isn't glamorous. It's messy, uncertain, and beautifully real. Meanwhile, Meri stands outside what used to be the shared property, the wind tugging at her scarf. The land feels emptier now, the echoes of old laughter replaced by silence, but she smiles faintly, her eyes glistening. "Maybe empty isn't bad," she murmurs. "Maybe it's just space for something new." Sometimes starting over means saying goodbye not to people, but to the person you became trying to keep them. In another part of town, Robyn sits on her porch with her children, her heart heavy, but her voice calm as she explains why things had to change. Grown-ups make mistakes, she tells them softly. But mistakes don't mean we stop loving each other. They just mean we learn what love really is. Her youngest leans against her, whispering, "Are we okay now, Mom?" Robyn smiles through tears. "We will be." For the first time in a long time, she believes it. The camera of imagination shifts to Kody standing alone in the driveway of the house he once shared with all of them. The place feels enormous now, hollow and echoing with memories that won't fade. Boxes are stacked near the door, but he's not moving, just existing in the space between what was and what's left. The air smells like rain again, and he looks out at the gray clouds gathering, his reflection faint in the window. His lawyer called earlier, telling him the restitution paperwork was finalized, but he barely listened. What matters to him now isn't the money, it's the silence. He walks to the old family table, the same one where laughter once drowned out the world, and sits down. The surface is scratched and worn, but it's familiar. He sets down the faded photo of all of them together, the edges curled, faces frozen in smiles that now feel like strangers. "I didn't lose them in court," he mutters quietly. "I lost them way before that." His voice cracks, the words catching in his throat. For a long time, he just sits there, the house creaking softly around him, the ghosts of his past whispering in every corner. Regret has a sound. It's the quiet that follows when there's no one left to listen. He closes his eyes, remembering the early years when everything felt possible, when the idea of plural marriage meant unity, not division, when his wives laughed together, when his children filled the rooms with noise and chaos that felt like life itself. But over time, love became structure, and structure became control. He thought he could hold it all together by force of will, by charm, by certainty, but love doesn't grow where fear takes root. And now, all that's left are the ruins of what once was. The doorbell rings suddenly, pulling him from his thoughts. It's Robyn holding an umbrella, her expression gentle but distant. "You look tired," she says softly. He nods, voice hoarse. "I don't sleep much." She steps inside, looking around the house that used to feel alive. "I came to get the last of the kids' things," she says. There's no anger in her tone, just quiet acceptance. He nods again, watching her move through the space with quiet grace. "Robyn," he says finally, "do you think they'll ever forgive me?" She stops in the doorway, turns to look at him. "Maybe," she says, "but that's not what you should be asking." He frowns slightly. "Then what? Can you forgive yourself?" Her words hang in the air, heavy and true. He looks away, unable to answer. Robyn finishes gathering her things, then pauses by the door. "We all have to live with what we built, Kody, but we don't have to stay buried in it." She steps outside into the rain, leaving him standing in the doorway as water splashes against the steps. He watches her go until the storm swallows her completely. Closing the door slowly, Kody leans against it, breathing deeply. The sound of rain fills the silence, rhythmic, almost comforting. He walks back to the table, picks up the photo, and for a moment, he doesn't see the fractures. He sees the hope they once had. "Maybe this is what it takes," he whispers, "losing everything to finally see yourself. Sometimes the ending isn't punishment, it's perspective." Across town, Christine stands at her window, watching the rain. She thinks of all the years she spent trying to fix something that was never hers to fix, and a sense of peace washes over her. Janelle calls, laughing through the speaker. "You realize this is the first time in forever we've all been free?" Christine smiles. "Yeah, and maybe freedom doesn't mean happiness right away. It just means we get to try." They laugh softly, and in that sound is something like healing. Meri joins the call too, her voice lighter than it's been in years. "We should meet sometime, all of us, no cameras, just us." The idea makes them all pause. "Yeah," Christine says, "just us." The storm outside begins to ease, and sunlight filters through the thinning clouds, casting golden reflections across the wet pavement. Back at Kody's house, he steps outside into the rain, letting it soak him, his face tilted to the sky. The storm has softened now, a drizzle more than a downpour, but it feels cleansing. He closes his eyes, whispers to no one, "I hope they find what I couldn't give them." In the distance, a faint rainbow arcs over the horizon, fitting, fragile, but real. The world moves on quietly. The headlines fade, the internet finds new stories, and life slowly reclaims its rhythm. But in the hearts of those who lived it, the echoes remain, not as pain, but as lessons carved deep into who they've become. Christine opens a new journal and writes one line on the first page. "Sometimes You have to lose everything to find peace. She closes it, smiling faintly. Janelle plants new flowers in her garden. Meri starts sketching designs for a small business, and Robyn takes her kids to the park, her laughter genuine again. Each of them, in their own way, is finally living without looking over their shoulders. Freedom isn't loud. It's the quiet certainty that your story now belongs only to you. As the episode closes, in the imagination of the viewer, soft music swells, and a narrator's voice could almost be heard. In the end, the courtroom wasn't where the story ended. It was where truth finally began. The sister wives didn't win or lose. They reclaimed something greater, their voices, their choices, their lives. The screen fades slowly to black, the rain outside replaced by the sound of birds, the world quietly moving forward. Then one final moment lingers. Kody, standing on that porch, watching the sky clear, his face unreadable, but his eyes different, softer. Maybe he's still lost. Maybe he's learning. Maybe that's enough. He whispers one last line, barely audible. They survived me. Now I have to learn to survive myself. And that's how every story ends. Not in the courtroom, not in the storm, but in the quiet choice to begin again.